The village of Oakhaven gathered at the edge of the Whispering River, just as the sun began to bleed into the horizon, turning the sky a bruised purple. It was the Night of the Current, a tradition as old as the stones in the riverbed. Everyone, from the smallest child to the eldest recluse, held a small wax-dipped paper lantern. Cale, a young man with anxious eyes and a heart that often raced with worry, clutched his lantern tightly. He had spent days waterproofing the paper and selecting the thickest candle. To Cale, this wasn't just a ceremony, it was a test of endurance. He believed that the longer his lantern stayed afloat and burning, the more auspicious his coming year would be. Longevity, he thought, was the ultimate victory. Beside him stood Magda, the village elder. Her hands were gnarled like tree roots, and her lantern was simple, almost hastily made. She looked out at the water with a serene, unblinking gaze. "Ready, Cale?" she asked softly. He nodded, though his knuckles were white. "I need it to last, Magda. Last year mine sank before it passed the first bend. It felt like a failure." At the signal of a beaten drum, the villagers waded into the shallows. One by one, they set their lights upon the dark, moving water. Cale watched with obsessive intensity. Almost immediately, a lantern released by a toddler tipped over. The current caught it, the water rushed in, and the flame hissed out in a puff of gray smoke. It had lasted mere seconds. Cale felt a pang of pity. "How tragic," he whispered, "to be extinguished so soon." Further out, a sturdy lantern likely built by the carpenter sailed proudly. It navigated the ripples effortlessly, its flame burning tall and bright. That is a good life, Cale thought, envious of its duration. His own lantern bobbed nervously, surviving the first few minutes, but he could not enjoy the glow. He was too busy comparing it to the others. He fretted as a wave swamped a neighbor's light, and he felt a surge of hollow triumph when his own outlasted it. Magda placed a hand on his shoulder. "Such a distinctive rigidity you hold," she observed. "You look at the river as a race, isn't it?" Cale asked, pointing to the carpenter's lantern, which was now a distant speck, far ahead of the others that were drowning one by one. "He is winning, the ones that sank early." "They lost." Magda shook her head, her eyes reflecting the galaxy of drifting stars on the water. "Look further, Cale. Look to where the river goes." He squinted. The river flowed toward the Great Falls, a massive drop where the water turned to mist and thundered into the deep pool below. Every single lantern, whether it had capsized at the shore or floated gallantly for a mile, was heading to the same precipice. "The water claims them all," Magda said, her voice blending with the sound of the rushing current. "The candle that burns for a minute releases its smoke into the night air. The candle that burns for an hour does the same. Once the flame touches the water, or the wax melts away, the result is identical. They all return to the elements." Cale watched the winning lantern reach the falls. It teetered on the edge for a split second before plummeting into the darkness below, extinguished just as surely as the toddler's lantern had been on the shore. "The duration is a blink of an eye to the river," Magda continued. "The early collapse and the late collapse. Upon the altar of the deep, there is no difference. They are all just light returning to the dark." Cale's grip on his anxiety loosened. He looked at his own lantern, still floating, still burning. He stopped worrying about when it would sink. He stopped measuring it against the others. He simply watched the golden light it cast upon the black water, appreciating the glow for exactly what it was in that moment, knowing the end was the same for them all. As Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "We are like many pellets of incense falling on the same altar. Some collapse sooner, others later, but it makes no difference." If this story connected with you, please like, comment, and subscribe for more content like this. Thanks for watching.